everyone, this is Lauren with Shabby Chic Sunday, and today we are going to unbox a new laminator from QFUN together and then walk through a list of projects that we can make using this laminator. So this is the laminator from QFUN. It is a cold and thermal laminator, and it comes with a whole bunch of other goodies as well. There's a corner rounder, a hole puncher, some binder rings, and then also a paper cutter. So I am going to open this up with you. I'm really excited also. One of the features says that it takes only about a minute to heat up, 1 minute or less. And the current laminator that I am using takes 4 minutes. So, you know, every minute counts. I'm also very excited because I got to choose which color I wanted, and it comes in a beautiful pink. So I'm very, very excited about that. So here are our thermal laminating sheets. You can get quite a big stack. So we'll set those to the side. Okay, move our box out of the way. I'll take off the styrofoam. I am so excited about this color. Okay, and we'll turn her around. This is beautiful. And then look at all the goodies that we have. Okay, so inside we have our little mini paper cutter. And looks like this one is going to be our corner punch, our corner rounder. And I think this one is our little mini hole punch. I love that everything is so compact in size and there's a place to store it in this laminator. An extra cutting blade, and then we get a couple of binder rings. Three binder rings. We're gonna go ahead and plug her in, and then I'll show you what she looks like, and then we're gonna get started on a whole bunch of projects. So the front side here has different measurements for a variety of different paper sizes. And then on the back side, you'll see this little black toggle button, and you can wiggle that if you get a paper jam, and that'll help you get your paper out. So over on the right side, we have our power button, and then you can hit this button at the top, and we can go from cold to 3-speed to all the way heated at 5-speed. The light will change from blinking green to solid green when it's ready to use. The laminating machine comes with a variety of different size sheets, so you are able to create a plethora of different size projects, which I should mention in this video, we will be creating 16 different craft projects for home, school, or even office ideas, and I will leave the timestamp in the description box below for each of those projects, so if there is something in particular that you're interested in, you can find it easily. So as I'm pulling all of these out, there are 30 laminating sheets total in 4 different sizes that are included with this laminator. And you saw on the machine at the beginning that there are 2 options, 3 mil and 5 mil. That is talking about the thickness of the laminating pouches. So these ones that we're all looking at right now, these are 3 mil, but you can easily adjust your heat setting for thicker pouches. So here's all of our different sizes, and look at how big this one is. Our first project will be making Polaroid magnets for our refrigerator, and for this project the materials that I used include a Polaroid cutting folder, a 4x4 printed photo, a magnet sheet, and then the laminator sheets. Once all 4 Polaroid frames were cut out, I glued these to my 4x4 photos. Since these are going through the laminator, you could even use a tiny bit of tape or just lightly glue just to hold them in place. The laminator is going to seal it all together. Once the frames have been attached to my photos, I'm now ready to seal them in a laminating pouch. When inserting into the laminator, make sure that the folded side of the pouch goes in first to prevent a jam. I'm now using the paper trimmer to cut off the excess laminate around my photo squares. These are the flexible magnet sticker sheets that I'm going to use, and I purchased these on Amazon. I'll leave the link below. They are 16 mils in thickness, and since these are just squares and I can cut them out by hand, my main concern was finding a magnetic sticker sheet with a good grip for my refrigerator. But if you want to use your Cricut machine to cut out magnets, be careful of the thickness of your magnetic adhesive, and definitely use a deep point blade in your cutting machine. I'm going to lay out my photos and mark where I want to cut so that I can save part of the magnetic sheet for later. You're going to laugh at me because in a moment you'll see that I put the photos down in a completely different direction and I end up cutting more of my paper anyway. See, look how silly. I just put to the side the part of the sheet that I was supposed to use, and I am instead using the one meant to save for later. Does anyone else do silly mistakes like this when you're crafting? Yep, here I am, cutting again and wondering to myself, how is this even possible when I measured? Throw that to the side and we'll save that for later again. Okay, so for the final step, I'm now going to go in with my scissors to cut close to the edge of my photo squares, and then they'll be ready to put on my refrigerator. Remember, you could also have your Cricut machine do this part for you. You just want to scroll through material options in Design Space to select the material thickness. I also plan to make alphabet magnets and shapes for my kids to play with, and I'll definitely be having my Cricut cut those out since they're going to be more intricate. And there we have our 4 new fridge magnets. I may add ephemera or a sentiment at the bottom of the Polaroid to decorate them even more. For our second project, we are going to make a magnetic book page topper. In Cricut Design Space, I have used the rectangular shape option to create my bookmark using 2 identical sized rectangles on each side of a small rectangle. I then repeated this so that I could glue them front to back so that the inside of the bookmark would be the same color, but in the end I ended up not caring. I'm using the paper cutter to remove the excess laminate, and then we're going to use that for our next project. When using laminate through our Cricut machines, we want to be very careful in regards to the sensor marks. Your machine needs to be able to read these clearly in order to follow the directions, and sometimes the shine or the glare from the laminate can make this very difficult for your machine. I'm going to use scissors to cut away the laminate over those sensors before feeding it through our laminating machine. Make sure you do all 4 sensor marks. Now that everything has been sealed, we're ready to put it through our cutting machine. I selected acetate from the materials list in Cricut Design Space, and I also changed the setting from default to more, just to make sure we get a pristine cut. So this is what we have so far. I like these magnetic book toppers because they don't fall out as easily as regular bookmarks do. And these are tiny little 5x1 millimeter magnets. You could also use the magnetic sheets that we just used for the Polaroid magnets. Honestly, I wish I had used that instead, as it would have been a lot quicker and easier than waiting for these magnets to dry with glue. You could also use tape over these magnets instead and make that a lot faster. I used the mini hole punch to pop a hole through the middle so that we could add some ribbon to the top. I'm just tying these 3 pieces into a knot, and then when it is inside of a book, it'll poke out the top as a little fun page topper. I'm also going to add 1 charm, but I think it would be fun to make a small charm dangle that hangs over the front of the book too, and I think I might do that next time. Here's how it works and what it looks like from the top. For our third project, we are going to make a standard bookmark using pressed flowers. We're going to use the scrap laminate that we cut off from our last project and pressed flowers. Sealing flowers with a laminator is a great way to keep them as memorabilia, whether it's encapsulating a cherished memory of a place that you went to, or a special occasion or event, or even just preserving the beauty of the flower. When I collect flowers from my yard, I put them face down on a sheet of paper towel and I press them in a book. As the water is pushed out of the flower over time, the flower will begin to collapse more, and you'll want to add additional pressure, such as more books, to your stack to continue to press the flower as flat as possible. I then store them in a small plastic Tupperware or even plastic baggies. Aside from bookmarks, I love to use pressed flowers in my journals, in laminated pockets, resin charm dangles, and decorative tags. Now that the flowers have been arranged right onto the laminate, we are ready to put it through the machine. I wanted mine kept clear to see the beauty of the flowers, but you could also build upon a piece of scrapbook paper to add an additional pop of color. I've cut away the excess laminate to use later, and here is our finished bookmark. Now these flowers are completely preserved and they will retain their vibrancy. Before I'm completely done, I want to use the punch to round my corners as the laminate can be quite sharp. I also really like the look of a rounded corner on a bookmark. I'm also going to use the hole punch at the very top to add some ribbon and lace as a bookmark topper. I've chosen 2 floral ribbons in pink and yellow to match the color palette of the pressed flowers, and also a piece of white lace just for some contrast. I'm going to tie 1 knot again and then cut off the extra ribbon. Aside from using this to mark a page in a book, you could also use this or the magnetic bookmark in your planner, personal journal, or photo album. Another idea for how to use the laminated pressed flowers is to add a piece of washi tape to the flower stem to make it look like a specimen slide or a preserved specimen card. You could write the name of the flower or even a date to remember on the washi tape. This last flower is actually technically a weed, but I am just so captivated by the details in this pressed flower. For our 4th project, we are going to make a fun shaker. Mine will be a spring Easter themed shaker as I plan to use it as my bookmark spread in my planner throughout the month of April. I am using a laminating pouch and then a thin acetate goodie bag. I will link these below. I got them from TEMU and they come in every size imaginable. I'm making my sequins mix and I am using bunny clay slices and matching glitter and some sequins. I like to mix them up in these little plastic storage squares from the Dollar Tree in case I end up mixing too much and having extra. I can then just keep the mix to use for another time. I also saw these on TEMU in varying sizes and I think they are absolutely great for storage. I've used Cricut Design Space to design my Happy Easter sticker, and again, keeping in mind the sensor lines on all 4 corners, I'm going to apply a laminate folder down the middle only. This will also save me laminate as I am not using an entire sheet. We'll have Cricut cut this out, peel off our words, and then I'm going to punch a very thin hole to tie a piece of embroidery floss through. I'm going to do that to both words, and then these words will dangle off a bow topper. We are now going to grab our acetate baggie and a scrap laminate sheet. Using the baggie inside the laminate is going to allow us space to fill the sequin mix, while also adding more firmness and durability to our shaker. If we didn't use the laminate, then our shaker bag would flop all over the place by itself. The laminate helps to keep its structure contained. I'm going to place my baggie to the far right so that I can leave blank laminate here on the left side to punch holes. This way I can snap my shaker into my planner rings when we're done. It's okay that the bottom of the bag is hanging out from the laminate because we are going to cut off near the bottom anyway in order to get our sequins mix inside. You'll want to cut off the bottom of the baggie so that you can add the sequins mix. I aligned my shaker with the rings in my planner and I used a silver Sharpie to mark where I need to use my hole punch. For extra durability, you could add eyelets here to protect the holes from long usage, but since mine will be only used for a few weeks and moved a total of maybe 3 or 4 times, I am just going to skip that step. It's now time to fill our acetate baggie with our sequins mix. I find it easiest to do this with a mini funnel, and I'm going to check periodically to ensure that it's not too thick while I'm filling it. This can happen really easily, especially when using clay slices. So as you fill it, just take some away or add to as necessary. We want it to lay flat. Once you're happy with your mix, you're going to lay your shaker flat on your table to add a strip of tape in order to seal the 2 sides together again. You can then add decorative washi tape, glitter, scrapbook paper, fabric, ribbon, trim, literally anything you want as a decorative final touch. I am using this blue gingham trim so that it matches the sequins inside. I'm now going to thread my embroidery floss through the Happy Easter words, and I created a matching bow that I would like to use in the top corner. I'm going to glue these strings right underneath my bow when I attach it to my shaker. Look at how cute! Isn't that adorable? I think that this would be great for Happy Mail or in an Easter basket for a friend. When I am no longer using it in my planner, I am going to place it in our photo album scrapbook. I like to make those and do that as an easy way to locate specific holidays, milestones, or special occasions in our yearly scrapbook album. I do have to add additional holes as the rings on our scrapbook album are different from the ones that I had in my planner, but that's no big deal. And now this serves as a marker for a special holiday. The bright pastel colors are a symbol for spring and Easter, and I have a green one for St. Patrick's Day, red and pink for Valentine's Day, and so on. They add pops of fun color to the top of the album, and they make it easy to find specific periods in our lives. For our fifth project, we are going to make an address book. I know many people keep their contact information right on their phones now, but I am old school and I just can't let go of pen and paper. I sized my contact pages to 4x6 for a size that will easily fit in my purse, and I printed off about 25 sheets. Some of the less popular letters will just double up. I'm going to use a sheet of scrapbook paper for my front and back covers, so I am measuring those quickly before cutting the sizes that I need. I decided to have an inside front and back cover as well, so I cut those too. I won't need to glue those together because the laminator is going to do that for me. Instead of scrapbook paper, another idea would be to make a cover out of pressed flowers like we did earlier for the bookmark. You could also sprinkle glitter inside the laminating packets for a sparkly cover, and honestly, just leaving it plain and clear is nice too because then you can see the contents inside and know exactly what it is. If this were not an address book, maybe a planner or a journal, I also like the idea of filling these pockets with collected memorabilia like movie or concert ticket stubs, photos, drawings from your children, cards, or notes as a collage of things that I love. Not only would that look beautiful, but all of the special pieces would be safely preserved. Now that my cover is laminated, I'm just going to cut off the excess. I have a leftover piece of plastic binding comb, and since I'm just making this for me, it's okay that it's not going to fit the entire edge. This punch is great with plastic binding combs, but if you don't have a binding hole punch like this, you can easily use a standard single hole puncher instead, which will do the trick just as well. My mistake was instantly forgetting that my coils don't fit the length of the paper, and I started from one end when I really should have began over an inch. With this punch, when you're ready to move down the edge of your paper, you want to place the second to last hole of your paper into the button or the knob that I just pointed out so that your spacing remains the same for your next stream of punches. What I like about this binding method is that it is not permanent. These are reusable. As your journal or planner or notebook grows with you, you can easily change out old pages for new pages with these coils. They also come in a variety of different sizes. Once everything has been punched, it's so easy to place your papers inside of the coils and then you just press the coils closed. Admittedly, it drove me kind of nuts that my binding was not centered, so I fixed the problem by adding this lace ribbon to the top coil to offset the difference. The last touch is to add our alphabet layers to the edges of the pages to easily locate the names in our address book. I am using tabs by ShabbyArtBoutique and I added my own letters to them. Again, I'm cutting out the sensory marks before going through the laminator, and once they're cut out, they'll look like this. Now I'll just glue them to the edges of my pages. You can also buy pre-cut tabs at the Dollar Tree. I really like those tabs because they're white and they have a lot of space for writing, but unfortunately they were too big for this project, so it was nice that I was able to size my own. And now our address book is complete. For our sixth project, we are going to make unicorn stickers to put in my daughter's birthday goodie bags and also stickers for my laptop. If you'd like to learn how to make stickers using Cricut Design Space, I'll link my tutorial below. For this project, all you need is a sheet of printable sticker paper or label paper, and I will also be using clear holographic adhesive to add an extra sparkle instead of the laminating sheets. And this time we are going to use the cool setting on our machine. We do not need any heat since we are using the holographic sticker on top to seal in the sticker. I won't have to worry about the sensor marks because I am cutting my holographic adhesive down to size and placing directly over my unicorn stickers. If you have any air bubbles or ripples, you can use a credit card or a squeegee to smooth them out easily. Once I'm done applying the holographic sticker, I'm going to run this through my laminator on the cool setting. You want to use the cool setting for sensitive items such as special or old photographs, vinyl, and important documents. Or, like this case, where you don't need heat as an adhesive, but more so just a tight press. You could also apply this same technique to magnets. Instead of using the sticker paper, we could use the magnetic sheets under the holograph and have cute little magnets for the refrigerator. I'm applying the same method to these stickers for my laptop. Again, we are going to make sure our laminator is set to cold just to give this a tight press. We do not need heat. This process creates the same effect as using vinyl to make stickers or design labels on cups. It's just another option for how to do those projects. I'm going to use one of these as an applique on my coffee mug. I won't be able to put this through the dishwasher, but I can hand wash it. Since it went through the laminator, the holographic adhesive has completely sealed the paper sticker portion, so I don't have to worry about being damaged with the light water. I shared my journaling and photo keeping process recently, and this is one of my photo spreads celebrating my dad's birthday. If you've been around my channel before, you know this man is Mr. Shabby Larry, my hero and my partner in crafting. I saved some confetti from his birthday dinner and I want to keep it as part of the memory. So I'm just sprinkling the confetti around his pictures, and I'll enclose this in a laminating folder to go through the laminator. I thought about making another shaker like the one we made for Easter, using this birthday confetti. It would also serve as a marker for the special date in our yearly album. I want to remember to do this also for New Year's Eve when there are poppers of glitter, streamers, and confetti. I think that would be really fun. So here's to you, Dad. Happy birthday. Continuing on from this birthday spread, our 9th project idea is to laminate tabs to better organize your photo keeping. Again, I'm using tabs from ShabbyArtBoutique and I have typed my own text over them to make it easier to find certain events or specific memories throughout the year. I then glued them to a sheet of scrapbook paper to use as my own tab inserts in my photo album. I plan to use the inserts as a month in review, where I jot down books that I read, series we binged, events, gatherings, holidays, vacations, etc. for each month. Project idea number 10. This is how I store and organize my stamp collection using bins from the Dollar Tree and cardstock inserts with labeled tabs at the top. My cardstock inserts are beginning to get a little stained from rubbing against the ink, so laminating them will make it easier to wipe off and keep them sturdy. You could also use these to stick your stamps to for safekeeping. Project idea number 11, a laminated chore chart for the fridge. I printed off this chore chart to help my little ones get into a routine. I plan to use this as more of a to-do list or a checklist for us for little tasks that they are learning to do daily. I use these Precision Point fine tip dry erase markers from Amazon. They come in a multicolor pack like this or all black. They are the only dry erase markers that I have found so far that allow me to write in small spaces. Now we have a colorful reminder of important things that we need to do every day and a way to keep track and build healthy habits. Continuing on this trajectory, Project 12, 13, and 14 involve other ways to keep organized as well. I have linked these in the description box below if you'd like to use them in your own household. The first one is a weekly meal plan. On Sunday afternoon, I pick out 3 to 4 recipes online and I write them down on this weekly chart. The other nights are leftovers or carryout. Picking out 3 to 4 recipes helps me not to feel so overwhelmed. It also makes it a lot easier on myself to prepare dinner throughout the week when I already know what I'm making and that I have all the necessary ingredients. On the right side of the chart, I have space to write any ingredients that I may need to get with my grocery order. The next one is for a never-ending to-do list when random thoughts and ideas pop into my mind throughout the day and I say aloud, oh yeah, I need to take care of that. I then add those thoughts to this list, and I can easily erase them when they're completed. I prefer this over my planner because I see this often whenever I walk by my refrigerator and it's a daily reminder. Number 14 is a daily agenda. I have found this helpful for my husband to quickly reference before he goes to work in the morning, but to also keep me on track throughout the day. It's also really easy and convenient to glance at this quickly if I'm on the phone making appointments or wondering if I have time for anything else. For all 4 of these fridge organizers, I just used magnets, but all of them could be adhered to the magnetic sheets, which I think would be really great. 15 takes these organizers with you on the go. I have sized them down to fit into a personal planner. I moved the meal prep chart to the far right of the paper to allow space on the left side to punch my holes. I'm using a marker to dot next to the binding ring so that I know where to punch my holes. After using your hole puncher, take scissors to cut a tiny notch into the hole. This is how you'll slide it into the binding of your planner or notebook. You can easily move it from week to week and have this with you when you're at the store. I also did the same thing with the grocery list, and these also act as my weekly bookmarks in my planner spread. Last but not least, project idea number 16 is to laminate a kid's menu for when they play restaurant. I also laminated bingo boards, alphabet flashcards, and practice handwriting sheets. I think one of the most beneficial aspects about this laminator is the convenience factor. I can use this for projects up in my craft room, and I can also easily carry this downstairs and use it for home, office, and organizational projects. The tools are portable, and I don't have to grab extra or additional tools in order to use my laminator. I could also pack this up with me and use it at school and not have to worry about forgetting to pack other tools from home. Don't forget, I'll leave the links to everything we have discussed together in the description box, including the link for this laminator on Amazon, project timestamps, products, and aforementioned tutorials. Thank you all for joining me at my craft table today. If you use your laminator for other projects, I'd love to hear what they are. I'll see you all soon. Take care.